Hello, my name's Mel, welcome to my world, and for those of you that are new to my channel, I live full time in this Mercedes Sprinter camper van, and occasionally I like to go metal detecting, so if that's something that interests you, then please do consider subscribing to my channel. Now today's Wednesday, so this is Waffle on a Wednesday, where I answer your questions to the best of my ability. And if you've got any questions for me, then please do start those questions with hashtag Waffle on a Wednesday. It makes it so much easier for me to find those questions that you would like answered. So without further ado, let's crack on with this week's Waffle on a Wednesday. Now for our first question this week, and this comes from Baked Bean, and I chose to read this one out first because it is rather concerning. Baked Bean says, I noticed a wood burner pipe coming out of the roof. Does anyone know if they have problems with soot inside the van? We have a wood burner in the house and there is always soot around the fireplace. Well, Baked Bean, I can confirm I don't get any soot at all around the base of my wood burner. I get a little bit of ash where I open and close the door to restock it, but apart from that there is no soot around the bottom of the wood burner. And if you've got soot around the bottom of your wood burner in your house, then I really think you need to get your wood burner inspected, preferably by a HEATAS engineer. You could have something really seriously going wrong there. And in the meantime, please check you do have a CO detector as well, because you can get carbon monoxide poisoning from a wood burner. It's a really serious situation to be in, and it could potentially be quite deadly. I do hope that answers your question, and good luck with your wood burner and your sooty problem. Now, sticking with the heating theme, well, kind of a heating theme, Chris Cunningham left a comment on one of my diesel heater videos, and Chris simply asks, can it be preset to go on at a certain temperature and off at a certain temperature? If only, Chris, that was the case. Unfortunately, the cheap Chinese diesel heaters, you simply set them to the kilowatts that are coming out. I've got a 2 kilowatt heater in my van, and at the moment I've got it set at 0.5, so that's half a kilowatt of heat is coming out of my diesel heater. The highest setting is 2.5, and all the time there's electricity available and diesel in the tank. That's what it will run at, regardless of the temperature in the van. It could get really hot in here and the diesel heater will still continue to pump out the same amount of heat. No, the diesel heaters do not cut in and out, they just stay on and pump out a constant amount of heat. Whether or not the more expensive diesel heaters do that, I have no idea, because I haven't ever had one or used one. But thanks for the great question anyway. Hope you stay warm this winter. Now, talking about winter, one of the biggest problems I have living in my van full time in the winter time is actually condensation. It's a real bugbear and it's a real challenge to keep the condensation down, and that's why I try and run my diesel heater all night and just leave a window open for ventilation, hoping, in vain I've got to say, that the condensation will be kept down to a minimum. But it is an absolute losing battle, and I've still not quite figured out how to keep that condensation off of the windows. And I'm seriously thinking the next van that I build, I will fit those double glazed windows, even though they really are quite expensive. If anybody out there has got double glazed windows fitted to their camper van, I mean, you know, the plastic ones that is, then please let me know if you get any condensation on them. Are they worth the extra cost? Do they keep the condensation at bay? That's something I would really like to know. So maybe someone out there could answer that question for me. But in the meantime, I'll just carry on suffering with condensation on the glass. The worst thing is in the morning, in the cab, when I get up in the morning, if I need to go anywhere, my cab glass, like the windscreen, is absolutely soaked with condensation. And to get rid of that really quickly and effectively, I use a window vacuum. And I've featured that vacuum in a few videos last winter, and that brings us on to the next question, and that comes from Michael Barker. Hi Mel, I hope you are well. I was wondering which windscreen vacuum you use, and can it be recharged via 12 volt USB? Many thanks in advance. Well, Michael, that's a really good question. Unfortunately, I use a caricature window vacuum, and you actually need 240 volt to charge this. But again, if anybody out there does know of one of these window vacuums you can charge off of USB, I'd be really interested to know, because charging this up using 240 is really a pain. It really is, because I have to turn on a great big inverter just to charge this up, and it hasn't got a particularly big battery in it, so I don't know why they don't make one that you can actually charge with USB. I'd be really interested to know. But anyway, for now I'll carry on using this. It's a great bit of kit. Just one little tip for anyone that has got one of these: when you use it upside down, drag it up the windscreen and then turn it like that. That way the water runs down into the chamber. If you simply just go like this, you'll find lots of water comes running out of it. It's something I've just noticed, that's all, and I thought I'd share it with you. So drag it up the windscreen and then tip it at the end of each stroke. The water will then come down into this chamber and you can simply empty it. A bit wet there. Go on my laptop, yeah. But there you go, I've used this for 2 years now. It's lasted really well. Yeah, it's just a bit of a pain charging it up, that's the only thing. But if you are interested in buying one of these, then of course I will put a link in the description of this video to where you can purchase one of these off of Amazon, and that is the cheapest place I could actually find to buy one of these. And of course it would make a really good Christmas present for your fellow van dwellers. So if you know a van dweller that's struggling this winter with condensation, this would make the perfect Christmas gift. And yes, I do earn a tiny little bit of commission off the sale of that, probably about 30p, so share the link. Help me out. Thanks for the great question, Michael. I do hope you stay dry and damp free this winter. Now here's a really interesting question from Van Life Friends. Hi Mel, a question for next Wednesday. Can you please cover how to buy the right tyres for a van? What a fantastic question. And they go on to ask, I've not seen other van lifers cover this. Should we change between winter and summer tyres? Are chunky treaded tyres good for not getting stuck in the mud? I saw one YouTuber mention blowouts being a problem. What does a first time van owner need to know? Thanks for the great videos. You're absolutely welcome, Van Life Friends. Now to answer your question, there is one thing that you must really consider when buying tyres for any van, and that is the weight rating. Not a lot of people know about this. It does get overlooked, and I've seen people do this on many occasions. Now for example, the tyres fitted to my van are KO2s. They are off-road all-terrain tyres, so that means I can use them off-road and on the road. And the size are 245 75 16s with a load rating of 120, and that load rating should be on all tyres. So if you want to know the load rating of your tyre, just look at the sidewall. You will see 4 sets of numbers, and like I say, in my case it's 245 75 16 120S. And like I say, the 120 is the load rating. If you go online you can check, you'll find a chart, tyre weight chart. I've got this chart here, and if I look at 120, it says the load rating of my tyres is 1,400 kilograms. So 1,400 kilograms per tyre. Obviously there are 2 tyres on each axle. That gives me 2.8 tons per axle, which is plenty for my 3.5 ton van. However, if I was to choose a different KO2 tyre, for instance, I've just looked some up online, if I was to have 255 55 R18s, the load rating on those is only 109. So you see there is a big difference depending on the size of those KO2s to the load rating as well. So if you're thinking about fitting KO2 tyres to your van, then do check you've got the right size, including the load rating. It's very important. And if none of that made any sense, then I highly recommend going to seek professional advice. Go to a garage and get their advice on what size tyres would be suitable for your particular vehicle. But saying that, I hope you found it mildly informative. If you did, then please do give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate your support. Right, next question. Hashtag waffle on a Wednesday, quick question. We love a quick question, and this one comes from Steve Jeffrey. Steve, I wouldn't say this was a quick question. Come on fella, be fair. Right. I've recently brought a van to convert. In every video I've watched, the first thing people do is take out the bulkhead. I've planned leaving mine in for extra security and to cut out the van noise. I'm obviously missing something. Can you please tell me why you took out the bulkhead in your van? Well, the answer to that is quite simple. Steve. I took the bulkhead out so that I could have access to the cab, and when I'm in the cab, access to the living space. It's just a lot easier to get between the living space and the driving space, the cab, without having to step outside your vehicle. And there's two reasons that this is better this way, and that is simply because if it's a rainy, horrible day, you have to get out of your driver's seat, walk around the front of your van to get to your door to get inside, and by the time you've done that, you're absolutely soaking wet, and you're going to drag a load of water and moisture into your van, and of course make all the floor muddy and dirty. But if you can walk through from the driver's seat into your living space, you've got no problems with that. Also, it's better for being a little bit stealthy, like if you don't want to be noticed so much. If you're going to park up in a residential street, for instance, you could switch everything off, slip in the back when no one's looking, and nobody will have a clue that you're in the back of your van. But if someone does suss out that you're in the back of your van and they start knocking on your door, giving you a load of aggro, "Oi mate, you can't sleep here," you can simply slip back into the front of your van, slide into your driver's seat and drive off on your merry way, and no aggro at all. You don't even have to respond to these people that are knocking on your door. Not that that's ever happened to me. Well, actually no, it happened once. It only ever happened once, and that was when I was parked up in the doctor's surgery and kind of overslept a little bit, and somebody knocked on the window and said, "You can't park here, this is a doctor's surgery." And I just simply said, "No problem, I'm just going." And I did. I just jumped in the front and drove off. No problems, no dramas. And that is basically why people take the bulkhead out of a van before they turn it into a camper. But like I say, not everybody does that. It's not to everyone's taste. A lot of people like to leave the bulkhead for, like you say, extra security. And it really is down to personal taste and personal preference whether or not you take the bulkhead out. Personally, I'd highly recommend taking the bulkhead out so that you can have access from the living space to the cab. It just makes life a lot easier. Good luck with your van build, and thanks for the great question. And here's another quick question. This one comes from Stacey Le Havre. A quick question. I've seen a few of the American van lifers have been using those fold up spa baths to shower in. Have you tried one? It would be hilarious video to see you try one out. Big love heart. Well no Stacey, I haven't tried out any of those spa baths. I've got a dog bath after all. I'm not as glamorous as those American van lifers. I'm just a Cockney Herbert. But if you really want to see me take a bath, and it is quite a hilarious video, take a look at this video up here where you will see me take a rather unconventional bath in a rather unconventional bathtub. And if you have enjoyed watching this video, then please do give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Ta-ra for now.